Welcome to the Betcher Brothers Boombox. We're going to continue our series on protest music in several genres by artists of color, black artists specifically. We did blues and jazz last week. And what do we got coming for us today, Matt?
Yeah, so we're gonna do rock, it's gonna cover the blues and jazz covered several decades, this is gonna do the same. It's gonna cover some 1950s, some 60s, some some tech, I guess, and then early and mid 80s. We're gonna skip the 70s. This was actually, if I'm being honest, kind of a challenging list to put together. And here's why. Most of your rock and roll pioneers did not really engage very heavily with protest music. I'm Googling, Little Richard protest music. And he does have one song, but he wrote it in 1970. And I found a performance of it. It's called Freedom Blues, and I found the only good recording of it was from 1980, and he's just so far past his prime at that point that it almost felt disrespectful to use it. Like Fats Domino, Bo Diddley, Big Mama Thornton, any of those, just didn't really have protest music, and it was really white rock and roll in the 60s, where kind of your most famous rock protest songs come from. And I think that's probably because of blending with the folk. White rock obviously blended with white folk traditions as well, and so you get a lot of folk protest songs and folk rock protest songs, etc. So it was a little tricky, which is why I imagined just doing sort of 50s rock pioneers, but that's why this ended up carrying me through decades and finding some unusual sources for some of these.
Well, very cool. What are we starting with today?
Yeah, so luckily Chuck Berry did actually write one that is sort of, it's becomes more of a protest song when you know some of the story behind it. And I think it's innocuous enough that it was covered by Elvis, it was covered by the Grateful Dead, and so you see it as more of just a pro-California song, and it's called Promised Land. He wrote this in prison. He served 20 months in prison for a charge that he contested. Wow. He was convicted twice of it, though, so take that as you will. But they said, people that know him said that he came out of that experience, I think regardless of whether he earned that conviction or not, people say he came out of that experience a really changed person in a negative way. And so this is basically when he was in prison, he got an atlas from the prison library and plotted a course from Virginia to California by way of almost inefficiently through the South. Huh. And it almost is like a sort of whistle-stop tour of all of these places that can kind of go to hell. In his mind, and it's a road trip song. It's he's on a bus, then he's on a train, then he's on a plane, and he ends up in California. And the idea is things will be better for me here than they were in the South. So that's basically the song in a nutshell.
Awesome. Let's check it out.